To talk about it, I want to bring in Democratic Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia, member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, good morning, and thank you for being back on our show and on our special coverage today.
Absolutely. Very important topic.
That, like many of our viewers, you have been glued to the television watching this unfold as we've seen these live pictures come in. What stands out to you so far as we are now getting closer to about the 2-hour mark of this discussion?
Well, it is an important meeting, and I think President Biden set the right tone. He says what we want is stability and predictability. This is not about friendship. It's not about a warm, relationship. We do not trust Vladimir Putin. We're not going to trust him. He's an authoritarian thug. But there are areas where Russia and the United States have common interests. Reducing terrorism. Neither Russia nor the United States want Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And the Obama-Biden administration got the U.S. and Russia and other nations together to effectively stop the Iranian quest for nuclear weapons. So there are areas where we have common interests. We have to identify those, but make clear that when Russia, and it's not Russia, it's really Putin and his henchmen, do bad things, there's going to be a response.
So to that point, Senator, it's something that the president said before he left to Russia, saying that we will respond in kind. That is the message that he wants to say. And there's concern that that may put America directly in a confrontational point with Russia when it comes to issues of cybersecurity. Is that, something you're prepared, that Congress should be prepared to undertake, a direct confrontation with Russia when it comes to cyber attacks and cyber offenses, and beef up or step up the sanctions against Russian individuals who may be involved in these cyber crimes?
I think we have to be ready and willing to do that. And Vladimir Putin certainly understands our capacity is much greater than Russia's capacity. So far, Russia's lesser capacity, they've been more willing to use it in mischievous ways. And we, as a civilized nation trying to do things right, are less forward-leaning in using some of these tactics to respond or to put them back on their heels. We have to be ready to do it. But I will say this is all against the backdrop of the discussions that the president has been having with European allies this week. What's been the main point of the discussion? It's been China. And we can't take our eye off that ball. China is the competitor and adversary, economic, diplomatic, humanitarian, military. Russia poses some military mischief threats. They're not an economic competitor. They're not a diplomatic competitor. They're not a competitor for humanitarian causes around the globe. They're not. So we can't take our eye off the ball. We just have to try to create a stable and predictable relationship with Russia on the items where we have common interests.
And Senator, it's Andrea Mitchell here in Geneva.
Andrea, great. Mm-hmm.
In terms of areas where we have common interests, it's good to talk to you. Thanks for being here. Mm-hmm. In terms of arms control, you're such an expert on all of the foreign policy. Arms control now encompassing cyber and all the complexity of verifying any kind of cyber agreements. There's the New START treaty, which expires in 5 years, as you know so well. Some of the people in the room include General Gerasimov, the defense secretary, the defense minister, I should say. Our defense secretary is not there. They also have, Antonov, who negotiated the New START agreement. So It may be that they do want to focus and take a deep dive on these issues. And whereas we don't have economic competition with Russia, we certainly have strategic competition with Russia, as well as a big interest in maybe getting some political diplomatic talks started in Syria, where they are burdened by this ongoing war after 10 years and may want to get some relief?
I think, Andrea, you do point out some common areas. Look, it was good news that President Biden early in his tenure decided we want to extend the New START treaty because it was set to expire. And both the U.S. and Russia realized it was in our interest to do that. We'd like to get China to be part of that treaty over time, but China's non-involvement wasn't a reason to let it lapse. And so both nations said, whatever our feelings about the state of the relationship, this is a positive. Syria is a good example. There is intense need that remains for delivery of humanitarian assistance into Syria for people in both northeast and northwest Syria, and Russia can be a key part of that. Why wouldn't they want to be a key part of that? So the battle against terrorism, Russia deals with its own terrorist challenges in the Caucasus, and many Russians end up becoming foreign fighters in the Middle East connected with ISIS and others. They want to stop that, and we do too. So we have to stand strong against Russian misbehavior, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't look carefully for these areas. Re-entering the nuclear deal with Iran, Russia, the U.S., China, and our European allies helped put that together with Iran. We don't do a lot of diplomatic deals where we have Russia and China working together with us. Getting back into that, improves the chance for better dialogue on the next issue that comes up.
Senator, I have to let you and our viewers know that we do have a development now from Geneva. That first session with Vladimir Putin and President Biden has wrapped up. So a White House official telling reporters there that it ended, I'm looking at my clock, about 15 minutes ago. So it went up until about 9:17 Eastern time, 3:17 Geneva time. Total, an hour and 33 minutes, right, for this discussion between, again, President Putin, President Biden, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Secretary of State Tony Blinken. They are now moving, and I'm just checking my notes here, into that expanded session. So remember, this is when there are now, and I know you know this, Senator, but for folks at home, this is when you're going to see more people, more aides come in. We've been talking earlier in the morning with Ben Rhodes, with Jeremy Bash, about how often the sensitive issues get worked out in session one, right, in that first more close hold session. And then you have other issues that are on the agenda in that broader session as well. Senator, before I let you go, listen, let's be real. We're doing some tea leaf reading here, right? What does an hour and 33 minutes mean? What could they have really done in 90 minutes? How much progress could they have made? So I know it's a lot of speculation, but I wonder sort of your initial thought on that. And secondarily, as we talk about the domestic piece of this, too, what your response is to some of the Republicans who've already criticized President Biden before knowing, the outcome of this, for the way that he has conducted his relationship with Vladimir Putin so far, and the way that the sort of storyline and narrative around this summit has developed.
Well, on the Republican critique, I'm glad we finally got a president who doesn't cozy up to the dictator, Vladimir Putin. Under Donald Trump, he would cozy up to Putin and pour cold water on our European allies. Joe Biden rightly is reversing that. We are linking arms with our European allies, and he is expressing the right level of skepticism about Putin as an individual. One of the things we did right before this summit was we hit Belarus with very tough sanctions for violating international law to target a political opponent. You've got to believe that Vladimir Putin completely understood what that was about. It was about Belarus, but it was also about, hey, if you violate international law to target political opponents under the Biden administration, you're not going to have a president who will shrug about it. You'll have one who will take stiff action.
Senator Tim Kaine, we're so appreciative of your time this morning, live for us from Washington.